Jan, you went. Jan is MEPJAC. And now Cheryl.
Yes, Cheryl Spencer in Palo Alto, California, where I'm a member of the Peninsula Palo Alto branch. And I am one of the co-chairs of the Disarm Committee. And my favorite candy, very expensive. I mean, I much prefer the Lindor, round Lindor truffly things. I don't give them out, but if anybody gives me those, I'll take them. Especially dark chocolate. Thank you.
Nice. Gloria and then Tracy. Your name, your branch, your issue committee, if you are part of an issue committee, and your favorite Halloween candy.
Okay, I'm Gloria McMillan with the Tucson branch, and my favorite Halloween candy is Reese's Pieces.
Okay. And your issue committee, Gloria?
Oh, my issue committee is the CCS, Communications, Access, Culture in the Arts, and Sensitization. It's a special, not under the other AHR.
Okay, very good. Tracy and then Philip, your name, your branch, and if you are head of an issue committee, name that. Otherwise, if you're a guest, just let us know your favorite Halloween candy. Tracy and then Philip.
Hey, my name is Tracy Robbins. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. My favorite candy is butterscotch.
Ooh.
Right, butterscotch. And Tracy is in the Southern Piedmont branch.
Oh, cool.
Philip and then Dee. Philip Cole, can you unmute and talk to us? Oh, he just ran away. He'll be back. Dee.
Hi, everyone. I should put on my little mask. Join Cheryl.
Glamour.
D. Murphy, DPAL committee. Sorry, everyone. We were running over. We just came out of the Congress program committee meeting. So I'm sure Nancy is going to be here because I reminded everyone several times, we got to go. We got to go. And Rita will be here too. She was just at the program meeting. So they're probably looking around for the link. I just sent it to them again now. So my favorite Halloween candy, that's hard. You know, I don't know the name of it, but when I was a kid, there's these like little orange and black wrappers that wrapped like a really peanut buttery flavored candy. And they were like wax paper. Do you remember those? And it never
I do remember them. I have no idea what they were called.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I have no idea what it's called, but I do know what it was.
Are they squirrel nuts, D?
I don't know if that was the name, but that sounds familiar. But they always had the orange wrappers and the black ones, and I was always afraid the black ones would taste like licorice, but they never did. They were always peanut butter.
All right. Well, George here. I'm in the Southern Piedmont branch, and your humble chair program committee. And my favorite, when I was little, my favorite was candy corn. But when I got old enough to realize it's just straight up sugar, now I really like the Dove little squares of chocolate, especially the dark chocolate made by Dove. They have little sayings inside the wrappers. It's very nice. And of course, I don't give those out either. Like Cheryl doesn't give out her truffles from Lynn, but if somebody's giving some, that would be the one to get. All righty. Okay, Rita's joining us. We'll give her a chance to check in, and then we'll get started.
Hola.
Nice photo, Rita. Like those braids. Rita, please tell us your branch and the issue committee that you're affiliated with and your favorite Halloween candy. And then Philip can go, and then Eileen can go, and we'll get started. Rita?
I just managed to get in, sorry.
Oh, no worries, go ahead.
Go ahead with what? I don't know what we're doing.
Okay, tell us your name, branch, issue committee, and favorite Halloween candy.
Okay. Rita Gonzalez, Piedmont Triad area. Though I'm in Mexico right now. Wait a minute, I missed something. Issue committee. uh, with the DPAL and on the program committee, and now migration. Favorite Halloween candy? Anything chocolate.
Okay, very nice. All right, so we got Philip and then Eileen. And you're telling
Okay,
us your name, your branch, issue committee if you're head of one, and your favorite Halloween candy.
Philip Cohen with the San Francisco branch, and I'm here as a guest. And Almond Joy is my favorite candy.
Almond Joy, good. Eileen and then Teresa.
Hi, I'm from the Boston branch. I am part of a number of committees. Good and Plenty's and Snickers are my favorites.
Wow, excellent. Teresa and then Nancy.
Yeah, I'm in the Fannie Lou Hamer branch, which is now expanded from the Columbus all the way east to Valdosta, Georgia. So we're like a South Georgia branch. And I'm co-chair of Advancing Human Rights. And my favorite candy is Tootsie Roll Pops.
Tootsie Roll Pops.
Good.
Okay, cool. Nancy.
This is Nancy Price in Davis, California. I meet with the Sacramento branch, and we're supposed to say our favorite candy, I guess. Well,
For Halloween.
Pardon me?
Halloween candy. It may not be.
Yes, Halloween candy. I guess I like dark Milky Way.
Ooh,
Dark
cool.
chocolate Milky Way.
Very nice. All right, let's look at the agenda. We're going to hear updates 3 minutes per committee. And there's several folks that can't be here. They've gotten something written that I'll share for them. Then we're going to have a conversation, in many ways, of brainstorming around what can all of WILPF participate in when it comes to the human rights crisis in the Middle East. And then any recommendations or next steps, some that might come out of that conversation, some that we just have in general. There are a few announcements, and then we're set.
Unavailable.
That was weird. Okay, so let's start with our committee reports. I will call on our committees, and I'll put in the links for folks who aren't here. So let's start with Middle East Peace and Justice Action, and then Earth Democracy. So Jan and then Nancy. And you've got 3 minutes each. I'm going to time it quite closely. So I'll let you know when you've got 1 minute left. Start, Jan.
All right. I wanted to share some things that were not on the branches listserv that I think all of you received. And if you didn't, I can get it to you. We are now an anti-apartheid community in terms of our organization, WILPF US. And then, so we're wondering if people would like to think about doing that as a city, we can sure get you the material. And you maybe saw Tura wrote the e-news a month or so ago about it, so we can dig that up and reshare it. One of the really interesting things, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Lloyd, what her first name went away for me, Robin Lloyd. Their community is actually going to have being an anti-apartheid city on the ballot. They decided to go all to that length. So if that passes, and I hope in a community like Burlington it does, that'll be the whole community, not just the city council or something else doing it. So I want to talk about that. We're doing some BDS work. You know, there are at least 35 states that have anti-BDS legislation that they're fighting. We're doing some of that work here locally. I just want to share a little blurb about that. We actually passed, and we fought hard to stop it, but our city, you know, this is Iowa, we're just so red. We're so red. We used to be purple, we're just bright red now, and have been for a few years. In 2016, they passed a horrible anti-boycott thing that just zeroed right in on Palestine, nobody else. Now they've got one on the table that is much broader, so it affects people that are fighting for gun laws, people that are fighting for environmental laws. It just said anybody that's doing any kind of boycott virtually will not be able to get a state contract. So that's kind of given us some impetus to go a little out a little further. We've met with AFL-CIO. We're going to be meeting with the Teamsters and with AFSCME and then with the ACLUs to see if we can't stop that bill. It's just sitting there. It's already passed the Iowa House. It's ready for the Senate. I got 1 minute left. So we're doing that work too. And I wanted to let you know that. We're going to have our third rally in our city here. And we're real proud of that here in Des Moines. We had 100 at the first one, 500 at the second one. And I was able to get captured. One of our members got me on video. So if you want to see that video again, I can put it in the chat or whatever too. So I'll stop with that.
That's perfect. You got 20 seconds left. Thank you. And yes, do put that video in the chat. It's very good. Nancy, and then after Nancy, we'll do Cheryl.
George, people are having a hard time getting in. Did you send the link to Fannie Marie?
I did. She registered, so she should have the link.
No. She said, I just talked to her and she said she was trying to get in touch with you to send it. It's just too hard to find the link, George. I went through all your emails and I couldn't find it.
Teresa, I just sent it to Ann. If you want to put the email of this person in the chat, I'll get it to her, or I can get it to you and you can get it to her.
Yeah, one had to register first to get the link.
Well, Ann is on. Ann got on.
If you can put it in the chat, that would be great. If I stop and do something else, we'll get thrown off. But Nancy, if you can go ahead, and then Cheryl, and we'll make sure that at least the meeting ID is out for people. They have to join a meeting and put in the meeting ID. That's what Rita did, because I sent her the meeting ID.
Jan, could you forward me the link via email, and that way I can get it to the missing people?
Yes.
George, can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm having all kinds of technical issues. Actually, I tried registering. It didn't let me register. It kept bouncing me around. And then I called you and you gave me that code. But when I returned, it would not let me enter the code. What I did is I went back to a previous email that had the link. And that time it worked.
I'm glad
I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea why things don't work as they should. I'm sorry about that. Very annoying.
I'm just letting you know in case, it didn't work for me. So I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
we're hearing from Nancy and then
And me.
Cheryl. Thank you. And you got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Hello,
Nancy.
so this is Nancy. I'm chair of the Earth Democracy Committee. As I've said several times on the program committee meetings, that I am in the process of, number one, sort of reconstituting our committee and working, secondly, on the text, revising all the text for the new website. And that's taking considerable time, as I am now program chair for the 2024 Congress, which has taken a bit of time the last couple of months. In any case, one event that is being planned now is a webinar on Monday, November 20, titled Contamination Nations. It will be a webinar with Margaret Edelman doing the Vermont Military Poisons Project there, legislative project there, and Pat Elder, who has come back from a very interesting and productive trip to Okinawa and Japan, where he spoke many times about PFAS, forever chemicals, many newspaper articles and radio programs, and he found that the information he was providing was being greatly listened to and accepted, whereas here, our Military Poisons Project is slow going in trying to get responses from local, national, and local, state, and national governments, and having them taking any responsibility for the air, land, and water and food contamination that we're experiencing with PFAS chemicals. So that webinar, I think, will be very good. And I look forward to reaching out to branches and members as we sort of redevelop and reimagine our Earth Democracy committee and work. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy. Let's pause for a second before Cheryl goes and welcome Ann Holberg or Hoiberg, sorry, Ann, and Fannie Marie. Ann, if you can let us know your branch and your favorite Halloween candy. Ann? Hello? Fannie Marie, can you unmute and tell us, restate your name, your branch, and your favorite Halloween candy?
Hi, I had
Welcome.
trouble logging in. I
Glad you're here.
apologize. Yes, I'm happy to be here. I'm Fannie Marie, and I'm just learning my way around, and happy to be a part of the group.
And your branch, Fannie Marie?
I'm with the Columbus branch.
The Fannie Lou Hamer branch. Fantastic.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
How about
Sir, I'm sorry.
I'm not a sir, but that's all right. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, I'm candy corn.
All right.
I'm candy corn.
Haven't had that one yet.
Two
It's a
votes.
throwback.
Oh, I thought we did. We did.
Yes, when I was a kid, I loved the candy corn.
Oh, I'm
Ann,
sorry.
do you want to check in? Last call for Ann to check in. Okay, then let's hear from Cheryl and then Teresa.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm one of the 3 co-chairs of the Disarm End Wars Committee, and I did give quite a big retrospective on our committee at the One WILPF call on October the 12th. So if you go back and find where that text pad was, you will see what I'm just going to mention. So we are all about abolishing war, stopping arms being produced, and decreasing the amount of military existence and spending, especially. And we also encourage diplomacy as a way to end wars. That fighting about conflicts obviously is kills a lot of people, uses up money that could be better used on healthcare and things like that. We are a member of many different coalitions. One of those coalitions is Warheads to Windmills, which is joining the climate change movement with the anti-nuclear weapons movement. And we are, it's a growing coalition, and we are trying to get more people from the climate change to understand that actually the military does have a lot of production of the greenhouse gases that affect the climate. So we are trying to educate them on that connection. We're also a Peace in Ukraine coalition member, a founding member, over 100 organizations, Peace in Ukraine. So, for example, on October the 4th, I was out in central San Francisco, demonstrating there for a ceasefire in the Ukraine-Russia war, and using diplomacy to end that war. And of course, we've now had to pivot to another ceasefire request, which is, of course, to do with the Gaza-Israel. We advocate for the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and 5 of us from Disarm will be at the UN meeting at the end of November in New York City at the UN building, where the 69 countries who have ratified that treaty will be meeting, and a lot of NGOs come to encourage them and then to bring public attention to the TPNW, as we call it, and obviously trying to get more people to ratify it. Of course, we keep telling Biden he needs to sign it. It's highly unlikely he will, but that doesn't mean we should stop asking him to. So we welcome new members. We have over 60 people on our committee, although I would say only about 30 of them are actually active. I'm happy, to answer questions later if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa and then Gloria.
Well, thank you, George. It is so great to have these wonderful reports, and I'm glad that Fannie Marie had a chance to hear about the disarm work, which is like at the center of what the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom is about. And just recently, on October 23rd, Advancing Human Rights installed 2 co-chairs. And I am one of the new co-chairs of Advancing Human Rights, along with Cmte Anderson, who is with the Metro Atlanta branch. And thanks to Joan Goddard and Donna Peel, who kind of came before this new rendition of Advancing Human Rights, we have some very clear working groups. So we have the Ending Mass Incarceration and the Death Penalty Working Group, which, by the way, will hold this regular monthly meeting on Monday, November 6th at 2 p.m. And in general, we get about 10 people at the meeting and representing about 7 branches, because my focus is to engage branches. So for Advancing Human Rights, the real momentum and focus will be to have as many branches involved in the various working groups of Advancing Human Rights. So we have the UN Decade and Reparations Working Group, which is all about advancing recognition, justice, and development for people of African descent. And it's a 10-year thing, which ends in December of 2024. But the UN discussions now is saying not enough has been accomplished. So they want to extend the decade for another 10 years. We have the Border and Migration Justice Working Group, and we're looking at starting the Housing Justice Working Group. So there will be 4 working groups as a part of Advancing Human Rights, because we look to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for the issues that we advance as human rights issues. And just one last thing, we see ourselves directly connected to the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee because of the genocide that's going on in Gaza. So I look forward to that discussion. Thank you, George.
Perfect, thanks.
Could you say again the name of the other co-chair, the new co-chair, please, Teresa? I didn't catch it.
Her name is Cmte Anderson, and she's in the Metro Atlanta branch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we'll hear from, I think Gloria's on deck, and then either Rita or Dee, whichever wants to give the update for DPAL. 3 minutes, Gloria.
Okay, hi. I'm reporting on the special group called CCS, Communication, Access, Culture and the Arts, and Sensitization. What we're doing, we have our first prong of what we're doing is the communications access. I have been attending the CIB, Community Advisory Board meetings of ASPM. That's our local PBS affiliate TV station here in Tucson. They're very tight. They won't let you speak at their meetings, but you can put in questions in advance. Another couple members may go with me from the Tucson branch. Robin has begun to attend her PBS community advisory boards up in Vermont, and Diane Blay is also trying to get to some of hers in Washington, D.C. So I'm starting to get other branches to do the same thing. And that's the way to do it, because, you can't just do it in one branch. And what we're trying to do is to get them to be more open about war and peace issues. They've pretty much taken that off the map on PBS TV. There's very little coming out, and a lot of things that aren't being produced, that are being produced in New York City, they're not carrying in the affiliates. and you can always check for those. There's a big project going on in Chicago to review Hull House and what Jane Addams did. And we're going to put in a request that they show it here in Tucson because it's of national importance. This is the first woman that ever got the Nobel Peace Prize from this country. And she's been scandalously neglected in US history because she doesn't make any money for the military industrial complex, of course. And so that's one of our projects in the CCS. The second one, if I have a minute, is Shilpa and I are going to work on bringing the Indian WILPF members together to do something about Jane Addams' relationship with Bhimrao Ambedkar, who was an untouchable who wrote the Constitution of India. And he was a very prominent figure, equal with Gandhi, but most Americans haven't heard of him. So we're thinking of doing a project on that. That's it.
Great. Okay. Wait a second. Am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay, very good. Thanks so much.
Yes.
And Dee or Rita, whichever one of y'all want to report on DPAL. You got 3 minutes, one of y'all.
Well, I'll give you less than that because we're just recovering from the webinar, and it was pretty hefty. Good response. Covered a lot of good material, and now we're getting ready for next year's with the planning. So I don't have any new updates, but we will be coming with more information shortly.
Great. You've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Dee, if you have anything to add.
No, Rita just said it. We had an amazing webinar on October 21st. We're working on some edits because at the very end, we played a video and neglected to stop recording before we announced who the artist was. So we've got to get that cut out. But otherwise, we're sending it on to be posted to YouTube for anyone that wants to see it. And our main focus right now is on coalition building with other sister organizations, preferably smaller ones. We're looking at survivor-led committees that are primarily who we're aligning with in order to, find out basically what they're working on and, join up with them, team up with them on some of the projects.
All right, thank you.
George, could Dee or Rita say what DPAL is? Because I don't think people understand what the group. I know that Fannie Marie, new member to the Fannie Lou Hamer branch, doesn't know what DPAL is. So could someone please say what DPAL is and what it does?
Dee, would you answer that?
Sure. DPAL is an acronym for Domestic Prisoners of War. A lot of times when it's a survivor-led committee that is focused on the reverberations and social impacts of domestic violence. And a lot of people who've been through domestic violence situations understand the comparison to a prisoner of war in that when you have someone that's waging war against you in your own household, oftentimes they control everything from who you communicate with, how you dress, how you eat, when you go out. So the conditions are very much the same. You never know when an attack is coming. You don't know if you're going to survive from day to day. So we are working with other survivor-led domestic violence groups that are out there, basically to approach some of the changes that need to be made both socially and legislatively, that basically are from the lens of survivors and not necessarily from the lens of academics who study our lives and then report for us. We're saying what we need as opposed to having someone review, kind of study us like lab subjects and then report on what they think we need.
Thank you. I put in the chat links to written documents that came from Cuba and Bolivarian folks who couldn't be here tonight. Mary Beth with Women, Money, and Democracy, and additional information that Jan sent to the branches list this morning that's worth everybody having. So that's a link to those documents in the Google Drive. And that covers our updates. Is there any issue committee that hasn't given an update? Did I forget anyone? Yay, I didn't forget anyone. Okay. Oh,
I'm sorry,
Cheryl,
George.
you've got your hand up.
Yes, yes. So if I disappear, that was my first trick or treaters at the door. Okay, so if I disappear,
You're going to come
going
back.
to the going to door. But
Okay.
But I'm looking at your full name, Gloria, and you said S stands for Culture and the Arts. I think maybe you meant C in the chat. We can't hear you.
CCS.
Yes, it's
CCS. So it's
Yeah,
not S.
I
It's
can't
culture C.
spell either. Okay, this is part of my trick or treat joke.
Very good. Jan?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say a word about our Commission on the Status of Women projects. There'll be a e-news going out, I think, on both of them. But the deadlines to apply, we're looking for 4 people, 4 WILF members that would like to apply to go to be a delegate to the Commission on the Status of Women meetings.
Will you
They're in
describe what
March.
that is?
Yeah, I'll try to.
Okay.
It's UN Women. We are allowed to have delegates there. We're honored to have delegates there as part of WILF's consultative status with the UN. So these are meetings that happen every year. The group called UN Women sponsors them. And there are literally thousands of women that go from around the world and tackle the issues. There's always a theme, a primary theme and a review theme. And this year it's poverty. And there'll be literally hundreds of presentations by women from around the world talking about what progress they've been able to make, what challenges they face. It's just a very good time to get together. We get the international is there, so we get to meet them. And we take a cohort of 8 people, 4 WILF members and 4 practicum people. This year, we're expanding the practicum not just to students, but young women that maybe are just entering a job, like in maybe in some kind of a nonprofit, or maybe they're interested in peace issues, so they're working for a group that shares those interests. We definitely are interested in daughters and granddaughters that want to be part of the practicum and advocacy group. Again, it's only 8 people, but that's still 8 people. So if you're interested, please watch for the e-news is coming out, and then the deadlines to apply for both programs is January 8th. So there's plenty of time.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me, reminding
Sure.
me to
That's
remind myself to
important.
do that.
And Teresa?
Well, I just want to say I'm looking for others who are alumni of the CSW. I was one of 8 delegates in 2012 to the CSW, and you go through a lot to get credentialed to be able to get into the UN. So to be able to go as a delegate is really life-changing. So I would, and it was a big news story here in Columbus, the fact that I went to the CSW. So it is a historic meeting that happens every year, and I'm glad it's going to happen in person again because I'm an alum of the CSW, and I would like to find other WILF members who are alum in the U.S. section because I don't know any of the women, they're not around anymore, who were with me then in 2012. I just wanted to let everybody know I've been.
Well, you have 3 here. You have 3 people here, Teresa. Me, Nancy, and Eileen.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. We should get together.
That's awesome. So I want us to try to come up with recommendations for action around what's going on in the Middle East, in Gaza, with Israel acting up. So I'd like us to go in this order. 2 minutes for those of y'all who are most connected to this to give us your thoughts. 2 minutes each, starting with MEPJAC, then advancing human rights, and then disarm. So I'm going to time you, Jan, and then Teresa and Cheryl, and then the rest of us can make our responses or recommendations. So go ahead, Jan.
Okay, there's so many things. I don't know that there's anything that people shouldn't be doing, and I know many of you are doing things. We did put some things in the branch listserv that have some real easy things to do now. Campaign for Palestinian Rights is a group that we belong to. Our issue committee belongs to, so we put their link in, and they have a really good, you know, it's a call, but they give you some ideas for what you might want to say on the call. And then they also hook you in with your representative, your state, both your US senators, so you don't even have to look up those numbers. There's AFSC has a Friday meeting every Friday where they make phone calls during the meeting. And I don't have that link handy, but I can get it to you. Code Pink, I've been to one of theirs. They also do the same thing, and I think they're doing it weekly. Excellent. They always have excellent speakers, and then we spent 10 minutes while we're on the call making the calls. I love those because you're in community and making those calls. So I think those are great if people want to do them. We're November 4th. Jeannie Silver is going to be going to Washington DC for the march, and hopefully some others will be also. So look for Jeannie. Jeannie also is part of our NAPCHAT committee that gathers all the resources. She's got hundreds and hundreds of excellent resources, and she's willing to put you on her listserv so that you get the best, what I think is the best information. I use her stuff constantly, and I put that in the last thing, and I'll put it in the list in the chat here in a minute too. And then she also says if there's so much, she's actually had complaints from people that it's too much. Of course, you can always get off of her listserv. We're going to show a movie, Gaza Fights for Freedom, and we're going to try and show that on November 11th on Zoom. It's an hour and 24 minutes. It's excellent movie if you haven't seen it.
Thank you. Oh, perfect. That was 2 minutes exactly. All right, and I apologize for interrupting you by saying 10 seconds. I didn't know how to let you know otherwise.
No problem.
So advancing human rights. Talk to us, Teresa. 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. My goal is to engage as many branches as possible in the emergency situation. I attended the Emergency General Assembly meeting, which was on Thursday, I believe, the 26th, and 140 countries voted for ceasefire. Israel is being isolated in a way I've never seen Israel being isolated before over the Palestinian question. So the Fannie Lou Hamer branch just ordered a banner today, and the canvas will be black, and the word ceasefire, will be, the cease will be in white letters, and fire will be in red. And on November 9th, we'll stand out near the old Fort Benning, which is now Fort Moore, with about 10 people holding the sign saying ceasefire. And we'll have smaller signs saying free Palestine and stop the genocide. So that's what advancing human rights with the Fannie Lou Hamer branch in collaboration with the Southern Anti-Racism Network, because we are the fiscal sponsor for the Fannie Lou Hamer branch. So we'll pay for the $100 banner. So we'll be sending out a few fund appeals as we do to try to cover our meager expenses. But I do want to say that Code Pink and all the organizations in the peace movement have done an excellent job of getting us to contact our reps. So I heard back from Warnock, and I plan to hear more from him. And I'm trying to get Sanford Bishop, who is a Blue Dog Democrat by his own description, to stand down from all this support the war veterans, support war. And then Ossoff is my other senator. So I urge people to contact their reps and senators and say, cease fire, because I've done that for all of mine. And I just think advancing human rights will bring this up whatever chance we get. And thanks to all of the great information from the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee, because we depend on them. And I hope somebody says something about the MENA meeting that we attended on Friday, the 27th. Thank you, George.
Sure. Cheryl.
Yes, so disarm, we get, as Teresa said, there are many different organizations sending us emails that we then send on to our disarm committee members. I think we represent about 20 different branches within the disarm committee, and we also send things to the WILPF branches. And in particular, I want to remind you, there is a resolution, a House resolution. It's House Resolution 786 that Cori Bush from Missouri started on October the 16th, that calls for an immediate de-escalation and ceasefire in the Israel and occupied Palestine. Unfortunately, it only has 18 co-sponsors now. They're all Democrats. So one thing you can try to do with your local congressional person is to get them to co-sponsor that resolution, because as you see, Biden is refusing to call for a ceasefire. Of course, Netanyahu is refusing any calls for that, even though there's been literally hundreds of thousands of people out on the streets in London, in Karachi, in Germany, and apparently, we are totally ignored, which is extremely annoying. So I've just put in the chat where I get my news, because the BBC News website has journalists in the Gaza Strip, and they, born and bred in the Gaza Strip, and they report what's going on there. And they also have journalists in the West Bank and journalists in other part in Israel. So I find it very informative. And the thing that really was upsetting was, every day with those bombs, 400 children are killed every day in the Gaza Strip because of this bombing. 400 children. And that we're up to 8,300 altogether. But because there are so many children under 18 in Gaza, those that are being killed tend to be children. Of course, it's totally against international law to target citizens. And it's interesting because nuclear bombs also violate the international law, because if you were to set off a nuclear bomb like that was done in Hiroshima, you kill a lot of citizens. So there is a parallel between what's happening in Gaza, being against international law and the rules of law as set up by the International Red Cross 70 years ago, and the possible use of nuclear weapons would also, and has already been judged by the International Criminal Justice Court, that nuclear weapons are illegal. You can't use them because you can't avoid killing a bunch of citizens if you were to explode one. So I'm sure you're all getting lots of emails from lots of organizations. Just go ahead. If they say go here and sign this petition, or go here and talk to your rep, just do it, because we have to just show the Congress, who have got their fingers, on the money purse, right? It's the money that allows this to go on. The $106 billion that Biden just asked for, which Mike Johnson is carving up. He's apparently got a $14 billion request just to send more weapons and what have you to Israel. He's divided that up. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. So I want to hear ideas from other folks. We've got about 6 more minutes for this topic. And we've already heard that you can have a rally with a banner like the Fannie Lou Hamer branch is doing. You can look at Jan's recording to see what that rally could look like. That first one that's recorded that Jan shows, there's not a whole lot of WILPF people there. There's like 2 or 3 other people besides Jan, but it was awesome. You can every day, write or call your reps. If you've done it once, do it again. Jewish Voice for Peace does it every day at 3 o'clock, and I've called my reps 15 times. But you keep doing it because they need to hear it. Eileen?
Yeah, thanks. The Jewish Voice for Peace has stimulated a bunch of us in this area to go to a warmonger representative of Congress, Jake Auchincloss. We're gathering there Thursday. I'm really hoping that we get over 100 people because they know how to organize. We have been pretty disgusted with this man since he was elected with about 32% of the votes. There were a lot of contenders for the same position, and he got the most. He was a war hawk when he got elected, and he's proven to be a staunch one everywhere. It so happens I'm on a vigil on Mondays, and last Monday, it was raining yesterday, or I don't forget the day it is today. Last Monday, I interviewed 15 people, and I'm using their responses to this question. What would you like to tell President Biden and your representatives regarding Israel and Palestine conflict? And the messages were very clear. They wanted to stop, at the very least, have humanitarian aid get in. And one young person said, I'd like to get real news. It's very confusing. Who really hit this hospital? Anyway, I sent that to the reps. It's going to be, and that was mailed. I haven't called every day because I wanted to continue using this interview approach. But the rest of us are trying to be creative around here, and we're better at letter writing, whether we, plug it into a system that the reps have already or in paper. That's it. Thank you.
Keep up the good work. That sounds like, you're really doing it, not letting up. Jan.
I wanted to ask people too to post on the WILPF Facebook page, both of them, both the smart one and then the other one.
Okay. Is it easy to find those, Jan?
Yeah, the smart one, I somebody else can tell you how to find that one. I do the other one, but not often enough. And it's just Women's Internet. You can go to the website and click on that little symbol that is on the website for Facebook.
Oh, good.
Or it's Women's International League for Peace and Freedom U.S. section. Because there's also the national and international and all that, but
that'll work. Teresa?
Yeah, I'm a little worried that we don't tell about the next steps from the MENA meeting because Salma is planning on sending out a system-wide day of action or week of action for all the 52 sections to be engaged. So it will elevate WILPF's profile around the world as a women's organization that's over 100 years old that's saying, stop it. And so that's what we should be looking out for. November 9th, the Fannie Lou Hamer branch will do our thing a couple of days before Veterans Day, and Veterans Day is celebrated on the 10th, and the actual day is the 11th, where there's all kinds of parades and stuff in Columbus. And I did want to say that when I was in Rhode Island, October 19th through of the 23rd, the Boston demonstration, and I hope Boston WILPF was there because Cole reported, Eileen, that there were 3,000 folks at the demo on Sunday, the 22nd in Boston, and that it was led by Palestinians. And in Rhode Island, there were 1,000 people in the pouring down rain. I couldn't even get close to it because it was raining so bad, and I was just not able-bodied enough to do it. But the new branch organizer for Rhode Island took lots of pictures, and I posted some of them to Facebook. There were 3,000 folks at Grand Central Station in New York, and 400 of them got arrested the other day. So the whole world, the Paris demonstration was unbelievable. So around the world, everybody's all out to end the genocide, and we need to join it as WILPF in the 52 sections around the world. And that's what was said on the 27th. And we got to follow up with the International Secretariat staff, as well as the MENA folks, George, to make sure that we have that call for us to all step out as sections around the world, the 52 sections saying, stop the genocide, ceasefire. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And when I send out the recording of today and the chat, I may also send again those notes that were sent to us after the meeting with the people from the Middle East, North Africa section. Okay, so a couple of announcements. One is that starting in January, or maybe even as of now, program committee, and that's right now myself and y'all, will be the folks who are administering the mini grant program. The folks who did it before, it was a team of, I think, 3 people who reviewed the mini grants and made decisions. But long time back, or some time back, it was under the purview of the program committee. And because those folks have stepped away and said, you know, we want to pass this on, Darian let me know that it is now under the responsibilities of program committee. So the first due date for those is February 15th. We can make a decision in an upcoming meeting about who and how we will deal with that. We do not have to make a decision tonight. Nothing's going to happen until February. And there's one other announcement I'm putting in the chat before I get Teresa and Cheryl, and that is that each issue committee is giving a yearly allowance of $500. It's in the WILF budget, and by Friday, November 4th, or Saturday, you need to get an itemized anticipated expenses for 2024 to Marcy Hensley. And that's in the chat, so it'll be with your recording when it comes. All right, we've got 3 minutes, so Teresa, Cheryl, Jan, you each have a minute for whatever you want to say or announce. Teresa?
Well, I just want to do a vibes watch. Dee keeps putting laughing out loud to Tracy, new member, in the chat, which I think is rather inappropriate. But my
Don't
announcement.
start with that, man. She was waving and doing gestures.
Yeah, thanks for muting, Dee. But my announcement is about the ending mass incarceration and the death penalty meeting, which is coming up November 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And George sends out the link for people to register. So I hope that those of you who are interested in ending mass incarceration will sign up. Thank you.
Sure. And not trying to do anything horrible, Dee, just trying to end on time. Cheryl and then Jan, y'all each have a minute.
Just some clarification on the mini grant issue. So, because we Disarm were thinking we would apply for a mini grant very soon. Is there anything between now and February, or did we miss some deadline just now?
I think you've missed it, but I'll check and let you know. I'll know within a minute.
Right. So then if we're in charge and one of our issue committee wants to apply for something, I mean, that's, anyway, that may be a conflict of interest. So,
well, in that case,
maybe
you would not be one of the reviewers.
Right. Okay, fine.
October 1st was the last due date. The due dates are February 15th, June 1st, and October 1st. So y'all will have to wait till February unless there's something I don't know about.
All right, thank you.
Ann.
Yeah, I'm disappointed to hear that. They did such a great job. I know Philip was on the committee, and so Philip, thanks for everything you did on there. And I know Barbara West was the chair. What I'm wondering is if Nancy and Dee could add that to the agenda for Congress, so we can try to recruit another committee, because it's extensive, the work they did, and it would I'm glad Georgie stepped up to do it, but it would be best to have something similar to what we had before, and maybe we could put that on the agenda for the Congress.
For our November meeting, because having more discussion now is not gonna get us
Yeah.
done on time. We've got
Well, I was
Dee
saying,
with her
saying for
hand up.
Congress, George.
Pardon me?
I was saying for Congress.
Oh, for Congress, which is next year. Okay. So we got Dee and Cheryl. And hopefully, please let us be done. Dee, and
Okay.
please brief as
Briefly,
possible.
I don't need to respond to Teresa, but I would like everyone else to know that I was laughing because Tracy was coming on in costume and she was like waving at people and making gestures. And it was amusing to me. So yeah, that's why I wrote LOL Tracy in the chat. There, I don't even know what she thought that connected to, but that's the reason I was laughing.
Thanks for letting us know, Dee. Cheryl, and then Teresa. And let's say goodnight then, please. Cheryl.
Yes. So when you called this committee meeting originally, I had suggested for the agenda that we program committee people think about our input to the Congress program, and that we have the theme of water, and if we look for a common thoughts, that we have a lot of thoughts in the Disarm Issue Committee about what we could do, but maybe somebody else has the same thoughts, and we should collaborate on some workshops or panels and not duplicate things. So I do hope, and I know Nancy's in charge of all that, so I do hope that we will have a chance for our issue committees to make sure that we are all joining in a good way to produce your Congress program. Thank you.
Absolutely. Our next meeting in November is on the 27th. It will absolutely be on the agenda then for a good discussion, a good timely discussion. Enough time given. Teresa, Nancy.
Well, I just wanted to say that the direct message thing, if you're talking to somebody about their gestures, because most of us are paying attention to the meeting, you could send a direct message instead of sending laughing out loud to everyone, because that's a bit confusing and disconcerting. And I just want Dee to know that was my concern about her doing that, because I thought it was about something that was said by Jan and the CSW, because it was between those messages. And so I want us to try very hard, because WILPF International is going to do a peace meeting with the whole section because of the acrimony that has been going on really for 3 years. So we should know that the whole world is watching. So when the U.S. section is put on display because of what's been going on, mainly between me and the president, I think it's important for us to understand, because I do want it to be a new day. And so I would say to Dee and all of us, let's try to calm it down. Thank you.
Okay. I see that your hand is up, Dee. Please put it in the chat so that we can end. And Nancy, you haven't said a lot, so go ahead, Nancy.
I'm just urging you to that we have enough time the next meeting to discuss the issue of the topic of issue committees and the program planning for the Congress.
Right.
Oh.
Okay.
We would need at least 15 or 20 minutes, I think.
Yes, that's right. We will make sure we've got enough time on the agenda next month. On the 27th of November at 8:30. We'll see you all. Peace and blessings to all beings, and happy Halloween.
27th.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to be, I'll be in New
everybody.
York City on the
Oh,
27th.
okay.
But
Yes, I hope
maybe,
it goes well. Hope it goes well, Cheryl.
yeah, so hopefully I will get Ellen to come.
All
You
right.
can take me too, please.
I want
Take
to
you to New
go.
York.
I want to go too.
Yes, that's my home. I want to go home for the holidays.
Many blessings, people. Bye.
Who is that? Is that Tracy?
Good night.
Yes.
Good
Love
night,
your hat,
Teresa.
Cheryl.
Bye, Tracy.
Bye.
I
Good
love
to
your
see you.
hat,
Bye.
Cheryl.
Love.
I love the witch look. Love your hat, Cheryl.